Our spirit's always by our side.
When you lose someone here in this world, you don't lose them within life. Your loved ones are actually closer to you now than they were within life. Their presence is the strongest when you're thinking about them, missing them, and wishing that you could speak to them. When you learn why your loved ones come through, how they come through, what the spirit world is like, right? Then you start to learn how you can communicate with spirit yourself.
Can our ego also get involved, that we built up these walls and said, there's no way I'm going to be able to hear from them?
Just like, everybody else, grief touches us as well. And the sad part about grief is grief makes you question everything. Grief makes you question, is it really my loved one? Is it really a sign? What if there is no heaven? What if I've been told a lie? All of these things.
One most important thing that you would recommend people to do to connect with their loved ones?
The connection's already there, right? The connection's already there between you and your loved one. And what's so beautiful is people don't realize that. So what you need to do is
Are you ready to shine? Shine bright. Woohoo! Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered if a spirit or spirits are by your side, then do we have the We Never Die show for you. Today I'll be talking with Matt Fraser, best known as America's #1 psychic medium, a New York Times best-selling author, the star of the hit TV show on E! Entertainment, Meet the Frasers, and the author of an upcoming book I can't wait to read, Don't Wait Till You're Dead. That's just what I want to talk with him about today. How to tell if spirits are by our side, how to hear from them, and what in the world takes place in a past life review. So welcome to the show, Matt. Are you ready to shine?
I definitely am. Are you?
Woohoo! I'm ready to shine, and I must admit, there's this phantom echo that nobody else will hear, but it apparently is also ready to shine. So we have a duplicate shining here today. All right, this begets the first question. Before we dive right into things, are spirits always by our side?
Always. I can tell you that when you lose someone here in this world, you don't lose them within life. Your loved ones are actually closer to you now than they were within life. On your morning commute, your loved ones are there. When you're taking a walk by yourself, your loved ones are there. When you're sitting at home and you're crying or you're sad or you're depressed, your loved ones are there. What's amazing is that when your loved ones pass on, they can come and visit you anytime that they want. And their presence is the strongest when you're thinking about them, missing them, and wishing that you could speak to them. And that's the one thing that they want you to know. They want you to know that no matter how you talk to them, whether it's in your head, whether it's out loud, whether it's that you write a note down on paper, your loved ones in spirit can hear you. And they love hearing from you just as much as you love hearing from them and getting signs from them.
Thank you. Now, there are a lot of people who say, but maybe I have to wait for them to go through a transition period, or there's a certain amount of time before I can get in touch with them. Does this have any validity?
It does. So there is a transition time with souls going to the other side. But what I want you to know is that it's different for every single soul. So I call this the 4-month freakout. As a medium, there is this freakout that happens right around 4 months that I see all over social media, where I can't count how many people will leave comments for me and say, Matt, it's been 4 months. My dad passed, or my mom passed, or my son passed, my daughter passed. I haven't gotten any signs. I haven't sensed them. I haven't felt them. Are they not there? Did they not make it to heaven? And the truth is, yes, they are there. They did make it to heaven. But the thing is that when you transition out, when you leave this world, you leave your body behind. And souls communicate in a different way. So when you transition onto the other side, you bring with you your soul, which is energy, and you have to figure out how to use your spirit body, and you also have to figure out how to pass on messages from the spirit world to the physical world. So what I can tell you is this, is that transition time varies from soul to soul. But as a medium, I can tell you that it can take up to a year's time for your loved one to be able to come through and to reach you, or to be able to reach me as a medium. Now, obviously, there's been times where I've read for spirits and they've come through the day after their passing. But it's really tough to hear from them completely, because the thing is that mediumship is a language that we have to learn and our loved ones in spirit have to learn. Because think about it. The same way that you were born here in this world and you had to learn how to talk, communicate, walk, use your fingers, use your toes, all these things, right? As you start to grow and get older, well, when you transition onto the other side, it's almost like being a toddler again. You have to learn a whole new different way of life, and you have to adjust to the other side. And some souls go through it quickly. Others take more time.
Thank you. And I want to go to how you started to hear from the other side in just a minute. But before I do that, can our ego also get involved? We're so early in the morning period that we built up these walls and said, there's no way I'm going to be able to hear from them.
Absolutely. Grief. Grief is the hardest thing. It's the ultimate weapon against our own self. And sadly, we all go through it. I'll tell you that even psychics and mediums come to me and they freak out. I can't tell you how many psychics and mediums have come to me and they're like, Matt, I don't understand. I can connect with the other side. I can speak to the side. I do this all day long. I help clients and friends and people, but my mom died and I'm not able to get in touch with my own mom, right? It doesn't mean that, they're doing something wrong and that their mom isn't there. It's because, mediums are people who, because they're in touch with the other side all the time, we know that there's an afterlife. We know there's another side. We know that there's another way to reach our loved ones. But just like, everybody else, grief touches us as well. And the sad part about grief is grief makes you question everything. Grief makes you question, is it really my loved one? Is it really a sign? What if there is no heaven? What if I've been told a lie? All of these things. And the saddest thing is that everyone goes through grief in a different way. And I don't care if you had the most faith here in this world, we all go through it, and it can trigger you at any different time. It could be the grief of a pet, grief of a person, grief of a friend, right? There's different stages of grief, and we all experience it, unfortunately, within our lifetime.
It's interesting. I've had two family members cross over in the last couple of years, a twin baby and a psychic, a rooster of all things, who would be in my arms literally during the show. My baby, I could hear from right away, and she's my main guide on the other side now. She kind of organizes all the angels and guides to speak to me. My rooster, his name is Rue. It almost feels like I'm not ready to hear from him. I'll speak to him a little bit, and then I don't know if the best way to describe it is attention and energy. Almost a grief comes up where I'm not fully open. And so he will then defer back to my daughter.
Yeah, the thing is that remember that souls communicate in different ways too. And the thing is that some souls are really super clear when you hear from them, and other souls aren't. And it all depends on their personality, right? There's some souls that'll come through to me as a medium and tell me everything. They'll tell me their name and how they had died and what had happened before they had passed. And there's other souls that are a little bit more reserved. For example, if you had a dad that never spoke here in this world, well, in the afterlife, chances are that it's going to be harder to carry on a conversation with him because he just wasn't that person here in this world. But however, if you had a mom that was really over the top, really exuberant, had a lot of energy, couldn't stop talking here in this world, well, chances are she's not going to stop talking in the spirit world. And I got to tell you, even as a medium, sometimes I get bored with the readings that I do because, when you get those souls, right, that aren't really talkative or are super shy or don't really come to the front, like it's also tough because you're trying to tell their story, but you can only do what the souls give you.
It's like pulling teeth. I'm like, is there any way to cattle prod is an awful term, but go, come on, guys, we've got this connection. Let's do this.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I find myself doing that all the time. When I ever have a soul that is hard to communicate with or talk with, I'm like, come on, like, tell me this, tell me that. Like, I'll ask them questions in my head. But at the end of the day, remember that soul, just like me and you, has their own personality, their own entity. But I've learned to do one thing, that when souls don't come through, or maybe you have a hard time communicating with them, I'm just open and honest. I tell the person that I'm reading for, listen, your dad's here. He's telling me this, and this, but he won't answer my questions. He's very soft spoken. He doesn't like to talk about his private life. He doesn't like to talk about this. And it's funny because the person that I'm reading for will always say, It's no different than when he was here in this world. My dad was exactly like that. Yup, exactly. He would be doing that. Yep, he would. He didn't answer our own questions. We could never get a word out of him, never mind in the afterlife. So, to me, that's validation in itself, right? Is that your loved ones truly don't change on the other side unless there was something that prevented them from being their true self, like illness, mental illness, addiction, or things of that nature.
That makes sense. So take us back in time to you as a child. When did you start hearing from the other side, and how did it then stop?
Oh my God. So when I was a little kid, I grew up petrified. I wasn't like any other child. I grew up like living that movie, The Sixth Sense. I remember anytime I was by myself, anytime I was in the bedroom alone, anytime that my parents weren't with me, there were souls that would come through and try to get my attention. And they would appear in front of me, trying to speak to me, talk to me, connect with me. And I would see visions. I would see visions about how they had died, what had happened, all of these things. And I remember as a child trying to escape it. But the more that I tried to escape it, the louder and stronger they became. And it was really tough for me because what was really hard to understand was this, is that I didn't understand that this was a gift that I had. I thought that the house was haunted. I didn't know that these were souls that, were trying to get in touch with me. I remember trying to beg my mom, beg my dad to move, to leave the house, to go somewhere else because, like I said, I didn't feel safe in my own home. And for that reason, I pushed this ability away for many, many years. But what's so funny is this, is that even though I tried my hardest as I got older to make the voices stop, to stop sensing and feeling things, to push my own emotions aside, what was so beautiful was that I always felt people on a different level. Even though I could stop the spirits, I felt people on a different level. I could feel people's pain. I could feel people's emotion. And I always felt like I had to be in the healthcare field. So I actually started my career in the medical field. I worked in Boston as an EMT. And then it wasn't until I went to see a medium myself when I was older that I realized, oh my God, this isn't something that I have to keep hidden. This is a gift and ability that I can also use to help people to heal in a different way.
Well, what happened? So you go to the medium, you're told this, and we've heard many people have been told this before, but I believe you went running home to your mom. Is that right? And what'd she do?
So what was crazy is that my mom and grandmother were also mediums. But when I say that, people automatically think, well, how come they weren't using their gift? Well, like me, they were also afraid of it. So my mom and grandmother, never told anybody about their gifts. They never did readings openly or publicly for people. It was only for close friends and family members that needed their help. For example, the only time that I would see as a child, my mom, doing a reading or my grandmother doing a reading was if they got a premonition, right? If they saw something that was going to happen, they would call that certain family member and tell them, I saw something, be careful of this, this, and this. It always was to warn them, right? But these were things that, didn't happen all that often. Like I said, because my family suppressed their gifts so much. So when I went to see a medium for the first time, my grandmother had passed when I was just a little boy. And, she basically went through and saw my life growing up. She saw me as a little boy and seeing and hearing The Departed and all of these things. And she said to me, you're not where you're supposed to be in life. And I thought I was exactly where I had to be in life. I was an EMT. I was, top paid at the World Trade Center in Boston. I was, enjoying my life and my time. And I actually loved being in the medical field so much that my plan was to be a paramedic and then maybe even be a physician's assistant. So I was all into it. And I didn't know what she was talking about.
Was she by your side? Were you seeing your grandmother from the other side, and you're denying it the gift at the same time you're using it in a sense on a daily basis?
No. So I didn't, at that point when I was an EMT, I didn't hear or see The Departed at all. I mean, I had pushed away for so long, but I went to see a psychic medium, and she was the one who saw me when I was a little kid, seeing The Departed, hearing The Departed. And she said to me, you're in the wrong place. Like, you need to be a medium. Your grandmother was here. She connected with my grandmother. She's like, your grandmother's here and saying, don't suppress this. So, I didn't know what to make of it. I thought that this lady was a little bit out of it, to be honest with you. I thought that she was very off. I kind of wanted my money back. When I went home and I told my mom what had happened, and my mom had said to me, oh my God, before your grandmother died, she told me that you too would be using your gift, but in a different way. And it was crazy because my mom was like a scene out of Harry Potter. I'll never forget. My mom came to me and, she had a set of tarot cards that she had that she gave me and said, your grandmother wanted you to have this. And my mom, basically went through some of the things that she went through as a child and her experiences and my grandmother's experiences and told me about their gifts because my grandmother, my mom, and I all have different gifts. Yeah. And I remember that the medium that I went to also told me one thing. She said, even though you suppressed your gifts, there's one thing that you need to do. If you just ask for them to come back, if you say to the other side, you're ready, and you really mean it, and you're really ready, the souls will start to speak to you again. So, I went home and I thought about it and, I did a meditation that she told me to do and I talked to the other side and the next thing you know, it was like all of a sudden it just came rushing back. I saw visions, I felt things, I saw things. It was like, it was the most amazing awakening I've ever gone through. And it made me rethink my whole entire life.
Were you freaked out when you started seeing these things or was this kind of a woohoo moment?
To be honest with you, I gotta share with you. So I hadn't had experiences since I was a little boy. So, what was crazy is that I remember that I meditated and she brought me through a meditation to do. And I meditated and I prayed and I asked for the other side to, to show me my life path. And I told them I was ready to hear and see, and I was just open. And I remember being in this meditative place. And all of a sudden, there were loved ones that were there. I remember receiving tons of information, right, about this one, my friend in school, my mom. I had messages for everybody. I mean, all these souls were coming through and speaking messages. And I saw so many people during that meditation when I was in this psychic trance, so to speak. And I remember being in that state and saying, I can't wait to come out of this. I can't wait to tell my mom that I saw so-and-so and my aunt to tell her that I saw so-and-so and my friends. And I saw all of these things. And it's crazy because when I came out of it, I couldn't remember a single thing. Still to this day, all I remember is coming out of it saying, I can't wait to tell my friends and family what I saw and the messages and who was there. And to this day, I can't tell you what I saw or what I experienced because it left me. But my life was forever changed. At that moment, I had a heightened awareness. When I walked and passed people on the street, I could see their loved ones with them. If they had messages, they would come to me trying to speak out. And it just was like this, like the tunnels just had opened.
Wow. And it reminds me vaguely, particularly when I started automatic writing, you're in a different brainwave state at that point. So your short-term memory isn't rolling the same way. And I'm guessing that you have trained your short-term memory, but at that point, it's sort of like taking a dream and trying to bring it back into this reality. For a second, it's there. It's so tangible. It's so real. And then you go, oh, I've got to write down it's gone.
That's exactly, that's the best analogy that I've heard someone say. That's exactly what it was like. And, that's the best way to describe a psychic vision too. Like people ask me, well, what are the visions like? It's exactly that. It's that you're dreaming while you're awake. And that's why when I do readings, people say, Matt, why do you talk so quickly? Well, I'm so afraid of forgetting what I'm telling you. As the information's coming in, I'm spitting out and telling you everything that your loved ones in spirit are telling me.
That makes sense. So I'm going to go we're going to go to the macro and then back to the micro. How do we know, or what are some top signs that spirits are by our side?
So the best signs are signs that represent your loved one's personality. For example, you always know when your loved one is trying to reach you when you see something happening again and again and again and again. Coincidences are actually divine signs. So for example, dragonflies, butterflies, repeating numbers, dreams, feelings, smells are all ways that your loved ones are using to get your attention. And it depends on a couple different factors. One, depends on how you receive your information, because we all receive psychic information differently. It also depends on your loved one in spirit. And it also depends at the time and place. So the best way to tell if a sign is real, if it keeps happening and happening and happening again. And the second way to know how your loved ones are reaching you, or who's reaching you, I should say, is by trying to match that sign up that you're getting with someone on the other side. So for example, if your grandmother was a singer here in this world, chances are she's going to send you signs in the form of music. If your dad was somebody who was a nature enthusiast here in this world, chances are he's going to send you signs within nature. I was actually doing a reading just yesterday where this woman I was connecting with, they lived on a farm. When I was connecting with her, I saw all these visions of farmland, and I saw horses, and more importantly, I saw horseshoes. And I said to her, oh my God, your dad's telling me that the sign that he uses to reach you are horseshoes. And she was like, oh my God, that's crazy. We grew up on a farm. And she was telling me all of these things. And she didn't realize that it was actually a sign from her dad, but it made sense to her because that was what he loved here in this world. And That's one of the things that you'll see, is that the same things that your loved one loved here in this world, they love in the afterlife.
Thank you. Is there a way that we can do some sort of a litmus test to know that it's true or know that it's not our egoic or thinking mind?
Yes, talk to your loved ones. Talk to your loved ones, have conversations with them, and you can also request a sign as well. I like to do this in two ways. I always tell people that if you have a loved one that's leaving this world, ask them for a sign before they pass on. For example, I have certain signs set up with certain family members. I had signs set up with my grandfather before my grandfather passed, because I knew it was going to be a little bit before he could actually come through and talk to me and speak to me directly. And more importantly, there's family members in my family that are not psychic or don't have abilities. So I had them set up their own signs with him. And what was amazing is that in the afterlife, once he transitioned on, slowly but surely, all of those signs that the family members requested came true. I actually did this with a friend of mine. Her mom, unfortunately, had a really long struggle with an illness. And when it was actually Parkinson's, and her mom was getting ready to pass, and she was having such a hard time because she's like, Matt, I'm trying to spend as much time with my mom as possible, but what's going to happen when I can't talk to her again? And I'm like, actually, you can ask her for a sign. So every day she'd whisper in her mom's ear, because her mom couldn't speak, but she'd whisper in her mom's ear and say, listen, when you get to heaven, I want you to send me a penny. I want you to send me a penny so I know that you're there. And don't you know that her mom had passed? And, after her mom passed, I went to the funeral home and made plans. And when they were coming back from the funeral home, the neighbor called them up and said, hey, why don't you come over for a glass of wine? I know that you had a really tough day. And when she came to the friend's house, her friend went to go and get a glass of wine. And in between the coaster and the glass of wine was a penny. And she was like, how did this happen? And the friend, she didn't tell anyone about the penny. She didn't even tell me. She didn't tell anyone, but yet the penny was there. And then next thing you know, she went to her mother's services. She went into the room before anyone got there. She went to go and take a seat, next to the casket as guests started to arrive, and there was a penny sitting on the chair. This is what I mean by the repetitions, is that it's not something that is just wishful thinking. It's not something that just happens once. It's something that happens many of times and in all the right ways in the random places.
Reverse engineer it. So when I teach people who have gone through awakening experiences, I say that is a key. That's a key that opens the door to the other side, to the other side of the veil. So if this individual focuses, probably with love on their heart, but focuses on the penny and focuses on the experience and focuses on the moment when they first saw the penny, can that be the key that opens the door then to communicate with their loved one on the other side?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the connection's already there, right? The connection's already there between you and your loved one. And what's so beautiful is people don't realize that, right? When you loved somebody here in this world and had a connection with them here in this world, that means that there's a connection already there in the afterlife. You don't have to go searching for it. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to go and, try to make it happen. It's already there. So what you need to do is learn their language, learn as much about the other side as you possibly can. When you start to learn about heaven and the afterlife, which is why I wrote my book, We Never Die, when you learn why your loved ones come through, how they come through, what the spirit world is like, right? Then you start to learn how you can communicate with spirit yourself.
So thank you. And on that note, why are they coming through? Why are they by our sides? And this is kind of a big picture question that's probably a question asked for eons gone by. Are they coming through now more than ever?
Well, I think that there's an awakening happening globally, right? Because back in the day when my grandmother was alive, you couldn't talk about sensing your loved ones, feeling your loved ones, connecting with your loved ones, receiving signs, right? And back in the day, they would not even ever think to interview a psychic or a medium on the news, right? Ever. But now we have the internet where people are sharing their experiences. People are taking pictures of signs, sharing signs, talking about this. And we've begun to find our own tribe, right? We've begun online to find people that believe in what we do. And we have programming like my television show, my books that are published, other psychics and mediums who have television shows and books that are published. And, with all of this, people are starting to learn. They're starting to learn that their loved ones are truly with them, what to look for, but also that they can speak out about their experiences. And when we speak out about our own experiences, which is the reason why I agreed to come on this podcast with you, Michael, is that when we speak about our experiences and we share them, everybody learns from one another. We all learn. We all have something that we can gain from it. And that is staying in constant contact with our loved ones.
Thank you. So why are they here and why are they here now?
So they are here for a couple different reasons, because think of life like going through a big race. Okay. So we all start at the starting point, right? Well, as we go through life, right? It's like a big race where we're all running through life. And then think of the finish line like death. If you're on a marathon, right? Like let's say that you're going through a 5K, you're running through this race. Once you cross the finish line, what do? You don't just go and go home, take a car and go home, right? You sit in the bleachers and you watch the other people that are going through the race, the other people that finish, they're going to finish after you, right? You cheer them on, you're there, you're watching them. You want to see how the rest of the race goes. Well, it's the same thing with your loved ones in spirit. They've already completed their journey here in life, but they don't just hang up their hat and say, okay, see you later. They want to see what you do next. They want to see the children that you have. They want to see the milestones that you make. They want to see the good things, the challenges, everything that's going to happen in your life. Your loved ones care about you the same as they did here in this world. And that's why they come through. And they also come through if they had unfinished business, if there's something that they didn't get to say, something they didn't get to speak on, something that they didn't get to tell you before they died. Well, that's when they come through as well.
Is it like the movies where they were going to chase you down, or literally chase Matt Fraser down and say, I need you to get a message? It's kind of a life or death thing.
So they come to me all the time with unfinished business, but it's not like a life or death thing, right? But it is a healing thing. So many times when we lose a loved one here in this world, our heart is at stake, right? We lose a loved one, we lose a son, we lose a daughter, and we wonder, oh my God, what if this? What if that? What if I brought them to the doctor sooner? What if I intervened? And sometimes we lose someone here in this world and they didn't leave on good terms. Maybe it was that when they left this world, we were estranged from them. We had a fight with them. We had an argument. It was an ex-husband. Well, that's when they come through to me as a medium, right? To try to put the missing piece back in the person's heart that's truly grieving. And that's the person that I need to reach the most. As a medium, I don't want to reach the people that already know their loved ones are there and that their loved ones are with them and their loved ones are by their side, because they're already getting comfort. They're already getting peace. But I want to reach the people that don't believe there's another side, that don't believe that there's an afterlife, that, is wondering, is my loved one okay? Is my son at peace? How do I get in touch with my loved one? That's why I'm here right now. Because I want to help as many people as possible to feel the same way that I do. Every day, I'm in a good mood because I sense my loved ones with me. I feel my loved ones with me. I know that they're here. And I know that one day when I die, I'm going to be with them. And I want to give that same hope and comfort to every single person that I meet.
Thank you. Forgive me. What's it like in your head? What are you hearing all the time? What are you seeing all the time? How do you actually stay grounded at that point?
Well, it's really tough because my head is like a phone line to heaven every single day. And it's funny because my wife is always saying to me, your head never stops. You're always talking to someone. You're always doing something. There's a lot of times when I talk to myself, right? But being a medium, it's not out of the normal. I'm actually talking to somebody who had died. But the thing is that I love what I do. And it's just so naturally a part of me that I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my ability anymore. And one time that almost happened, for example, I'll share with you that when we were filming the television show and I was doing readings, I had this, it was allergy season, and I took an allergy medication. And then all of a sudden I couldn't see or hear anything. It's like all of a sudden the voices stopped. And I was so freaked out. I was out of my mind. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God. Like I felt like I lost a piece of me. I was starting to go into a depression. I didn't know what had happened. And then it wasn't until I went to a doctor, believe it or not, and the doctor said to me, and what type of medication are you taking? He says, oh, that affects your brain waves. He says, I don't know anything about talking to the dead, but chances are if you stop the medication, however you do what you do will come back. And it did. And at that moment, I realized one thing. I realized that I never want to make the voices stop. I never want to just be normal, because God gave me this gift for a reason. And I've already experienced trying to be normal. And I'm so past that now.
So for your child, for my child, for all the children out there, how do we keep these gifts open?
Well, it's by you being open, right? The best way to keep the gifts open is to realize that there's a connection that's there. And I think that that's what the world is missing, is to know that there's a connection that's there. And it's all about how you can utilize that connection. what ways do you connect with spirit? Are you a psychic dreamer? Are you a psychic feeler? Are you a psychic listener? Are you a psychic seer? We all have a gift. We all have a phone line to heaven, and you connect in your own way. And I think that that's something that most people have to understand, because the saddest thing is that a lot of people come to me and say, Matt, I want to be just like you, but their gift is completely different than mine. So the thing is that it doesn't matter how you sense or how you feel or how you connect with the departed, but it's about keeping that connection open, just as you said, and realizing that it's there.
Thank you. So let's say you're keeping it open. How do you actually utilize your words, utilize that connection, or allow them to help guide us? And I'm assuming that's what they're doing. They're setting us up like, well, they're actually marionetting us, for lack of another term. How do we allow that to take place and grow that trust, I guess is the word?
So it's just that, it's growing the trust, right? When you listen to the advice that you're given, when you listen to your intuition, when you listen to what you're sensing and feeling, right? You're showing the other side that they can reach you and connect with you. When you get a sign from someone, whether it be your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, validate it. Say, Dad, I know that was you. Or Mom, I know that's you. Or maybe you're not sure. Say it anyway. Say, Dad, was that really you who sent me that card? No, Mom, was that really you that sends that sign? Because conversation is a two-way street. So when you go and you validate it, you're showing your loved ones on the other side that they can reach you in that way. When you negate it and you say, oh, that can't possibly be my loved one. That can't possibly be my dad. That can't possibly be my mom. That can't possibly be my sister or brother or aunt. You're writing return to sender on the envelope and shipping it back to heaven. So the thing is to keep that conversation going, have conversations, out loud or in your head, whatever feels naturally to you, because it's a muscle. And the more that you use it, the more that it'll grow.
Thank you. What do you tell people who write in or tell you in person, I'm trying to connect with my mom, my dad, but I'm hearing something and it's making me very uncomfortable. And I'm very nervous that I'm connecting with something that I really shouldn't be.
So to be honest with you, I don't get any of those requests, thankfully. So if the people who follow me, because I'm on social media all the time and teaching this, they know the right and wrong ways to connect. But what I tell people is that you have to go and you have to do it. You have to connect. You have to connect using safe mediumship. So things like Ouija boards and things like that are not going to give you a connection to the other side. You're going to open yourself up to a slew of problems.
I call it a butterfly net.
Exactly. The only time that I've seen somebody get into problems with mediumship or hearing things that they shouldn't be, or, having bad experiences, is when they, do things that they shouldn't. Play with a Ouija board, using those ghost boxes, going on a paranormal investigation. That's you looking for unsafe spirits. You don't need any of that to connect with your loved ones. You don't see me, over here with Ouija boards and ghost boxes and different things to try to connect with your loved ones, because it's not needed. At the end of the day, you hold the key to your loved ones, and it's a private connection between you and them.
Thank you. Well, what I do is, since we're talking about safety, I'm putting that in quotes here. What are the kind of shows and good money that you've turned down because they were asking you to do things that violated your protocol?
Oh my God, tons. And it's not that it violates my protocol. It just is not who I am, right? So the thing is that I feel my job as a medium, but as for me, Matt Fraser, psychic medium, is helping people connect with their loved ones on the other side, to provide peace, to provide answers, provide closure. But there are mediums out there that do paranormal investigations and that do find or want to channel or want to cross over evil spirits, dark souls, things like that. That's their calling. And those psychics and mediums know how to protect themselves, ground themselves, handle those evil spirits. But that's not me. To me, I've always felt doing this work, my ability has to be to heal. And I know one thing, that the souls that are with us, that are on the other side, want good things for us. The souls that are evil want bad things for us. So why would I channel them? Why would I connect with them? And the thing is that I only want to talk to the good spirits. So that being said, I've turned down so many television shows, so many different opportunities, because there's nothing spooky about me. Or, so for example, it was one time I'll never forget. They wanted to open up some type of a spooky world or something. They're like, can Matt come and be guest speaker? I'm like, no, there's nothing spooky about me. You don't want me in a spooky world, or whatever the hell it was. I feel my whole job is connecting with the higher side, the good vibrations.
Thank you. So let's talk a minute for about people or spirits transitioning. I'm not sure when it becomes person, when they become spirit, but you talk about all your loved ones are in heaven. What does that mean? And is there a transitory period? What's going on here?
So when you first pass on, and this is what my new book is about, don't wait till you're dead. So, as humans, we question, why are we here on this earth? Like, why were we born? Why were we going through certain challenges, certain struggles? Why did we go through a divorce? Why did we lose a child? Why did we go through this health scare or that health scare, whatever it may be? And the thing is that I don't know the answer to all of that. And there's some things that we don't know the answer to here in this world, but I can tell you that when we transition on, we're able to get answers for everything. So when we first pass on, there's this transition that we go through called the life review. And the life review is a look back on your life from the moment that you're born to the moment that you die, to the people that you've helped, to the people that you hurt, to the gifts and skills that you were born with, to the gifts and skills that you didn't discover, everything in between. And what's amazing is that during this life review, you meet your spirit guide, your guardian angel. You see how your spirit guide helped to guide you, how your guardian angel helped protect you. You're able to see the good decisions that you made, the bad decisions that you made, the decisions if you did A instead of B or B instead of C, and everything. And that's why I wanted to write this new book. Don't wait till you're dead, because souls on the other side, when they go through this life review, look back on their life and there are things that they regret. Souls regret not being able to fulfill their full role here in this world. They regret giving up certain choices and decisions. They regret the way that they hurt people. Well, the thing is that you can take control of your life now. You can make changes in your life now so that you don't regret it later on and so that you live your best life possible. That's the goal.
So there's the Hermetic expression, as above, so below. How do we almost put ourselves? It's something I was teaching in a class last night of going to Tree of Life, getting above yourself, looking down on yourself and looking down at your life. How do we get to that place where we can take a big picture enough view of our lives here and now from the macro, so the micro, so that when we get to the other side, we go, oh, I was heading down this path, but I woke up to where I got to go and I went that way.
That's exactly it. Well, that's what this whole book is about. The thing is that I have a whole book just on this whole topic coming out, because it's important to realize the wake-up calls that you're getting here in this world. And wake-up calls are when spirit kind of comes in and snaps their finger and says, hey, listen, you're going down the wrong path. You can change. There's also look backs that you can do here in life where you can look back and see how different challenges and struggles and things that you thought were really bad shaped you to where you are now. And also by recognizing the life lessons of what your spirit guide and your loved ones are trying to teach you. When you feel like you're on the hamster wheel and you keep making the same decisions, when the same bad things keep happening, you keep getting in the same issues with relationships, you keep dating the same type of men or same type of women, you keep having the same different issues with finances where you can't get yourself ahead, you keep going through a depression. There's something there for you to learn. You're not just going through this. There's something that you're not getting. And that's why I decided to write this book.
Thank you. I'm writing a book also on waking up. So it sounds like some similar concepts in there. In fact, I call this one snow globing, where you're going to take your life and shake up a little snow globe as if it's your life for an experience. And now we get to lean in and look at it and experience it. And from that, opportunity pops open. So I want to go to our spirits again and how they're guiding us. How can we tell they're guiding us? And how do we invite more of that assistance in?
So the best way is to talk to your loved ones, all sorts of conversations. Remember, your loved ones can hear you, so utilize it. Utilize the fact that whether you talk out loud or in your head, they can hear you. So have little conversations with them. Just like when they were here, if your dad would help you with finances here in this world, talk to him when you have a financial concern, when you're nervous about money, when there's something that you're stressed about. If your mom was the one always giving you good advice when something was about to happen, talk to her if you're stressed over your relationship or a certain problem that's going on. The thing is that when you're open to these conversations, so are your loved ones in spirit.
Thank you. So what's their lives like on the other side?
That's a good question. Their life is no different than here. The only difference is that they're no longer in a place of pain. They're no longer in a place of uncertainty. They're no longer in a place that has to deal with age. And your loved ones in spirit leave behind all of the negative emotions that they learned here in this world. Being a human There's emotions that we go through that we can't help. We feel pain because we're in a physical body, right? We go through really tough experiences here in this world where we learn terrible things like, hate and jealousy and all of these things. And once we transition on, your loved ones, because they don't have to worry about bills and money and finances and things like that, are at the ultimate peace. And they're able to look in on your life and live lives of their own on the other side where they're completely at peace and they're their best self. What's amazing is that when I connect with your loved ones on the other side, the readings are never bad. Like people say to me, Matt, why is it that you don't do a reading where someone comes to and says, oh, that guy was an asshole, or my mother was so terrible, or this or that one, or this or that. But the spirits don't have those emotions because on the other side, they let go of all of that. When you go through your life review, it's like going through TSA at the airport. The same way that when you head on a plane, when you go to the airport, they make you take off your shoes, your belt, your socks. They make you take out your guns and your weapons. You can't bring any sharp objects onto the plane. You have to go through it. You have to go through a metal detector and then an X-ray scanner, and you have to go through all of these things to make sure that you just bring yourself onto the plane and that there's nothing there that can hurt anybody, harm anybody, cause any issues to the aircraft. Well, that same thing happens to your soul when you're transitioning. Your soul goes through this review process and you leave all of that behind so that you can be at peace the same way that you go through these metal detectors and these X-ray machines so that you can ensure your safety and the safety of others on the airplane.
Thank you. Does everyone get to heaven?
No, they don't. And, that's the one thing that is really tough. Now, when I say that, people freak out, right? But I'm going to tell you something that, other mediums won't tell you. And that is, only a very small percentage of people don't make it to the other side. How do I know this? Well, it's because I talk to souls every single day. And I can tell you that there's two different vibrations. There's a higher vibration and then there's a lower vibration. But the souls that don't make it to the other side are the souls that did terrible, evil things here in this world. For example, like murder. But what I can tell you is that we're here to make mistakes, right? And, things like shoplifting when you were just a little kid or, teasing somebody, making fun of somebody, that's not something that doesn't make you go to heaven. For example, a lot of people don't realize that their crotchety neighbor next door that yelled at the kids, that was just really what they thought was evil here in this world, most likely is going to make it to heaven because that person truly wasn't evil to their core. It's just that maybe they had something go on in life. Maybe they lost a son or a daughter. Maybe it is that they have a health condition that's causing them to be that way. Maybe it is that, they're affected by alcoholism or addiction or something that's making them act that way. Well, heaven restores your soul back to the way it was without that anger, without that hate, without that pain. But heaven can only restore you so far if you're truly evil to your core and could do something horrendous like murder and purposely killing somebody. Then unfortunately, that's a problem that heaven just can't fix.
I'm hesitant to ask this question, and particularly for parents. What about suicide?
Oh, suicide, souls absolutely make it to the other side. Just because someone passes of suicide doesn't mean that they don't go to heaven. Absolutely not. I've been honored to hold the hands of many people who have lost loved ones of suicide. I can tell you that every time that I read for someone who had lost someone in that way, there's a reason because of it. For example, I just did a reading for this woman who had lost her son through suicide. And the reason why she lost her son was because he had an underlying mental illness that unfortunately, he couldn't cure here in this world. And the thing is that in heaven, mental illness and addiction, right, which is also an illness, doesn't, God in heaven doesn't go and judge, cancer and mental illness any differently. They're both illnesses, right? They're both a struggle, just in a different way. One's physical, one's mental. And I can tell you that, the same way that you wouldn't judge somebody if they can't walk because they broke they broke their leg. It's the same way that on the other side, you don't get judged if you had mental illness here in this world. But I'll tell you that the souls that have passive suicide do come back and they do regret it. Because what they don't realize is that what they thought was so bad, right, and what they didn't hang in for would have gotten better. And during their life review, souls who have passive suicide can see what would have happened if they just waited another year. What would have happened if they would have waited 5 years, right? And what I can tell you is that these souls can see that their life would have gotten better, that heaven had other things planned for them. They just didn't stick enough longer. They just didn't stick enough long enough to see it.
Always darkest before the dawn. Can you tell us, for spirits, for souls on the other side, do they have jobs? Do they have a mission? Do they have relationships, a social life?
So they do have relationships. There are soulmates on the other side. So when you meet your soulmate here in this world, that soulmate transitions on into being your soulmate in the spirit world as well. And they also have jobs as well. I can tell you that souls and spirit take on divine jobs. So for example, based on their life, I've seen it happen many times. We were just talking about suicide. When someone passes of suicide, and they go through their life review and say, oh my God, I wish I didn't do this because this would have happened and that would have happened and this would have happened. Well, I can tell you that they'll come back in spirit and try to guide someone from making that same mistake. And that's where divine jobs come in.
Wow. It actually sounds like, in that sense, everything that went, quote, wrong here on earth actually helps them to serve to help somebody else, which is helping all of consciousness.
Absolutely. The same thing that we're doing now, the same way that, we take our life lessons and our things and we come on this podcast and we share them with everyone who's listening. Same thing happens when you go to the other side. When you go to the other side, you bring with you, you leave behind your illness, addiction, pain, whatever it is that you went through, but you bring to heaven something greater. You bring to them, to the spirits, universal consciousness. You bring with you to them, the life lessons that you learned here in this world. You bring with them all of the gifts that, you were given here in this world to the other side. And you also bring to heaven all the challenges, solutions, all those things that you went through, all that knowledge that you made here on earth. It's all shared amongst heaven. The same way that we share textbooks full of knowledge here in this world. That's what the spirit world shares amongst one another.
Thank you. So are a lot of spirits on the other side wanting to come back down here? I guess that's the first part. And the second part is, if you're reaching out to them and you're not hearing them, could they have reincarnated already and come back here?
I don't know, because, I'm not able to talk to souls that are reincarnated, but there have been souls that have been unreachable that haven't come through in readings. So I always wonder if that's a possibility. But, I don't see anyone, like, for example, there's never been a soul that's come to me that said, I've reincarnated. But actually, excuse me, I shouldn't say that. There was one time where actually a woman had lost a child. She lost a little baby son. It was a miscarriage. And she came to me for a reading. And that soul that she thought was lost actually was reborn later to her son now. So, that was one of the coolest readings that I think I've done. It's actually up on my YouTube page, because the thing is that it really shows us that sometimes when souls don't fully make it over to the other side, they do come back.
Thank you. Don't want to put you on the spot here. Am curious if you do see any spirit or spirits around me right now. And if so, if they have a message, and if not, it's all good.
You do have souls around you, but they already talked to you. So the thing is that you can remember that souls don't come through just to say, oh, hi, I'm Michael's grandmother, I'm doing okay. What happens is that souls use me for a reason. There was something that they didn't get to say here in this world. Maybe it was that person died and there was unfinished business. Maybe that person died and there was questions over how they had passed or how they left, right? The thing is that they use me when their loved one here in this world is losing hope, when their loved one here in this world needs serious answers, when there's something that they didn't get to say that can change someone's life.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Let's go back to the life review, and thank you. Let's go back to the life review for a second. And then I'm actually interested if you've ever heard of pre-birth experiences, because I've had 2 NDEs, but I don't recall my life review. I got spit back, completely changed, but without that remembrance. There was just when I came back. But are we judged during our life review?
You're not, but you judge yourself. So no one's there with a clipboard saying, and you did this and you did that. There's no judge in heaven. You're your own judge. So when you go through it and you see moments of your life and you see, how you treated people, what you did here in this world, how your certain actions affected different people, well, that's what determines your soul to change. You're your judge during your life review. There's no one there else but you. You go through your life review pretty much on your own. It's your own journey. It's the most amazing journey. And to answer your question, well, it wasn't really a question, but you said that you had near-death experiences, but you never went through a life review. Most people don't, right? Most people, they before they get to that point of the life review, get pushed back. Now, you may have heard people who have had near-death experiences where they see their life flash before their eyes. Well, that's them starting the life review. But like I said, it all depends on the near-death experience. It all depends on what has happened to you and how far down the process that you've gotten. For example, I'll share, I have a good friend of mine that was shot. She was shot when a gun accidentally misfired and died. She was dead on the table. They had to revive her, and they did. They got her back, but she had no life review, no experience, nothing. She saw black, and she was so scared. She said to me, Matt, when I was on the table and this had happened, she's like, I could hear doctors around me and nurses around me, and I could hear them saying that they were losing me and all these things, but I didn't have a life review. I didn't see anything. I saw just my eyelids. And when I did a reading for her, I saw that it was because her soul had never left her body. It's only when your soul starts to move up and out that you'll actually have that experience.
Thank you. Let's talk about energy for a minute, if that's all right with you. How much has, I like to say, language is not my first language, that we first hear as an energy, as a frequency, as a vibration. You have been bathing in these words, I'm going to say more like images, feelings, flashings, knowings for so long now. How much has that shifted you? And if you look back, how much have you changed?
Oh my God. It's not just that, it's my clients have changed me, right? Anytime that I meet somebody and I get to talk to their mom or their dad or their sister or their brother, and, I get to see their life and how they lived life and what their soul was like here in this world and what their purpose was and what they learned, that's changed me. And through all of these years of doing this and seeing life through someone else's eyes is really how I've learned so much. People say to me, Matt, you're such an old soul. Well, it's really because I've learned through the spirits. I've learned by seeing what they've done right, what they've done wrong, what they've regretted. And it's changed me. It's changed the way they've done my readings. It's changed the way that I see life. And it's changed the way that I view life here and now.
How has it changed how you're parenting?
In a huge way. Because going through and seeing, for example, I'll tell you, there was this woman that I was just reading for. And unfortunately, she lost both of her children. So when she lost both of her kids, what happened was she had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And the 5-year-old opened the door and was able to get through the door and let the 5-year-old and the 3-year-olds went out into the pool, and they both died of drowning. And that reading, when I saw what had happened, completely changed me, because my wife and I just purchased a house. We put in a pool in the backyard, and I was like, I promised that woman when I read for her, your reading made a difference for me. I am going to make sure that, in our new house, that we have every safety feature known to man, so that this won't happen, this won't happen in my household. And that's what I try to do. I see somebody have an experience or something happens in their life. I want to warn or go and change other people. Oh my God, how beautiful.
We have a pool too. She just woke up from her nap and wanted to say hi.
Hi. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. Oh my God.
So she just started saying last night. So she has her twin sister that's on the other side. And whenever we ask where she is, do you see Miraku right now? Where's Miraku? Oh, you're watching the TV. That makes sense. She will point up. And just last night, she started saying Miku, as in pointing around and tracking her sister.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Children can see things through a totally different lens than we do.
So sorry to interrupt. You were talking about this is the perfect time. Do you want to sit here as we're sharing this story? She can't hear you, which is probably good that she's not, but she can feel the energy, which is probably good that she is.
So anyways, at that moment, that reading changed me. So the thing is that when it comes to the other side and when it comes to the afterlife, what's so beautiful is this. What's so beautiful is that on the other side, our loved ones are at peace. And when I see a moment from someone's life that they regret or a mistake that had happened, it changes me and the way that I raise my child and the way that I take care of my family and every single thing that I do. Because like I said, if a soul comes through and provides a certain information or shows us something, it's because they want to help us.
Have you spoken with a soul who is actually planning to come back and has shared any of that process?
I have not. Not yet, anyway. Not yet. But could happen. Every day I'm learning something new. And you know what? Now that you asked me, it's probably gonna happen. Probably gonna happen very soon.
What is the most striking thing? Thank you. What is the most striking thing that has hurt or shocked you? Not in a oh my God, that's shocking way, but in a wow, I get to make this choice or decision or something in my life that's really helped you from this knowledge.
To be honest with you, it's that here on Earth is a big classroom. This is where we're meant to learn life lessons. It's where we're meant to fail. It's where we're meant to pick ourselves back up. And I think giving yourself that understanding, is allows you to be able to know that it's okay if everything doesn't go as planned. It's okay if there's hiccups along the way. It's okay if you fall down and you scrape your knees. You're gonna get back up. And I think to me, that's the biggest thing is to know that not everything in life is going to be perfect. Everybody, and I think that being a medium and seeing what I do, it's that everybody has their own certain struggle. Some people struggle with the relationship. Some people it's finances. Some people it's with their health, right? We're all going through a different struggle, just in a different way. But there's a way that we can go in to heal from it, right? And a life lesson that we can learn. And from it, we can help other people.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier that humanity is going through an awakening right now, or this is some sort of a shift going on. Are you hearing this from the other side? Is this an intuitive thing? Is this just looking at the world around you, or what are you seeing?
No, it's just from looking at the world around me. I'm going to tell you that what really woke people up was the pandemic. When we went through COVID, the phone wouldn't stop ringing, the emails wouldn't stop coming in of people coming in that never thought about death, dying, the afterlife. All of a sudden was scared, right? It was awakening for everybody. Everybody all at one time here on Earth thought about death. They thought about what happens if I die, because this was a virus in the beginning that was affecting everybody, young, old, middle-aged, you name it. We were all at risk. And everybody thought, what happens if I'm the one that passes next? And that shift is what we're feeling right now, where everyone at that moment started to realize, because everyone knows somebody who died during the pandemic or was affected during the pandemic or was scared during the pandemic. Like my own mom had cancer twice. So we were really scared about, if she were to go and get COVID, what would happen? So, we all at one point had to go and think about this, think about our friends, think about our family, and at the same time, think about other people that had passed away. And that's when people came to me for answers. And that's when I started writing my book, We Never Die. I wrote I wrote the answer to as many questions as I possibly could about heaven and the afterlife. And overnight, it became a New York Times bestseller. The very first day, 35,000 copies were sold. And, the reason why was because people needed this information. Something was going on in the world. Something was going on around us. And everybody turned to faith.
It's interesting. I had an experience with a medium on the show a few days ago, and who he was channeling said, it's not near death, it's near life. How do you see this as a doorway, and what does that mean to fully understand that?
Well, it is a doorway because there's a change of worlds, right? We're going from this world to the spirit world. And the funny part is that the spirit world is all around us. All around us. It's an energy vibration. So if I were to lift up a curtain right now, you'd be able to see your loved ones right beside you. The sad part is that it's like a two-way mirror. We can't see into their worlds, but they can see into our world. So when a loved one passes away, they're like, oh my God, this is great. I'm here with my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and I can look after my wife and my son and my daughter. But for us, we feel like they're gone forever. And I think that's where the shift comes in, is that the more that we see into their worlds, whether it be through our intuition, through signs, through a psychic medium, the more that we receive proof and validation that there is another side of life, that our loved ones are there, and that there's a way to connect.
Thank you. So on top of talking to our loved ones, is there one, that's hard to encompass it in one thing, but is there one most important thing that you would recommend people to do to either find peace or to connect with their loved ones?
The best thing that you can do to connect with your loved ones, besides being able to go and to, utilize your intuition and your own psychic ability, is to really try to settle the hurt and pain that you're feeling, because grief acts as a block. So whether it be that you write a letter to your loved one and you just express, it's okay to go through the emotions. I can't tell you how many people, think that by not doing something that they're stopping them, that they're stopping the grief. For example, there was one mother that I was talking to that refused to go through her son's clothes or belongings. They were just laying in boxes in her garage because she felt like that if she were to go through them, that it'd be too sad, too painful, right? Or, for example, there was this father that I was talking to who had lost his son. And it was the same thing. He left his whole bedroom intact, shut the door after his son died, refused to go in there, refused to clean anything out, refused to box anything up. Well, this, you might think that you're stopping yourselves from grieving, but what you're actually doing is being stuck in the day that your loved one had passed. When you are stuck in the day that your loved one passed, when you hold on to that pain, that hurt, everything that's there, you're doing just that. You're holding on to it and it blocks you. When you go through the things, yes, it's going to be painful, right? But this is what's called healing pain. Healing pain is a pain that you experience when you're going through something, when you're working your way through a person's passing, because you have to go back, you have to revisit, you have to, kind of unpack the boxes, so to speak. And once you leave that day, emotionally and mentally of the day that a loved one passes, then you can start to live life in the future and create a new conversation with them.
How has learning about life reviews both changed you, and what else can we learn about? I almost wish that we could have, actually, not almost. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have a past life review while we're still here?
Well, that's what my book's about. My book is all about, at the end of the book, the very last chapter is you do your own life review. And I lead you through your own life review while you're here, while you're alive. And you can make changes within your life. In August, it'll be on bookshelves all across the country, but it is available for pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Audible, anywhere that you buy books.
Very good. On that note, where can people go to find your work, Matt, and find out more?
So the best thing is that you don't have to be dead to find me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Snapdaddy, all of that. Just go to meetmattfraser.com. I'm also on TikTok as well, and YouTube.
Thank you. Few last questions. What is the most interesting way that our loved ones try to get in touch with us?
The most interesting way is through dreams. Because if you've ever dreamt of a loved one, it's not wishful thinking. It's really them. And dreams are so amazing because dreams show you what your loved one looks like on the other side. If you ever wonder what my loved one looks like, and people always think, oh my God, my loved ones, Matt, if you don't have a body, what does that mean? Are you just air? Are you nothing? Well, no, you are something. You still have an appearance on the other side. You still have an appearance in the afterlife because there's no one else like you. And that's what's so beautiful. So if you see a loved one in a dream, you're seeing really them.
Would it be good to then wake up and then put out that request to be able to speak with them again in the dream and then go back to bed, or the next night to try to call them in during your dream?
Best thing you can do is when you go to bed, ask if anybody has a message for me. I'm going to be open while I'm sleeping. To be honest with you, that's a trick that I do because during the day, my loved ones can't get in touch with me. There's no way. I'm channeling everyone else's loved one. My psychic medium space is reserved for everybody else. So before I go to bed, I talk to my own loved ones. I'm like, listen, if you have something that you have to say to me or talk with me, I know that the phone lines are busy during the day, but come to me in a dream. I'll be open while I'm dreaming. And when there's a message, they'll come through. But it's also important to be open to who's there. It might not be who you're expecting. You might be looking for your mom, but it might be your son that comes through, or it might be a stepson that comes through, or a brother that was estranged, or maybe a next door neighbor that comes through. And that's what's so beautiful is that when you open the doorway, anyone from your life can come in.
Thank you. There's a movie. I'm not sure that you'll like it, but there was a movie with a dentist who died on the table, and then he's woken back up, and all of these spirits are chasing him down because they know that he can hear from them. What do you do as either spiritual hygiene or to keep yourself sane with this many voices wanting to speak through you?
I take a week off out of every month. So I have a lot of downtime, which is really great. So I take a week off just to relax, recharge the batteries, and just go through a wind down. Because the thing is that it's not so much for me, it's for the people that I'm reading for. Because I always have to make sure that I'm my best. When I'm going on tour from city to city to city to city, it's really tough because night after night after night, the souls know that I'm there and I'm there to do a job. And I have to make sure that I'm rested, that I'm ready to go, and also that my body is in good shape. So that means taking care of myself, not only just mentally, but also physically as well, because you can only do this work if you're fit, if you're strong, if you have good energy, and you're in a good place to deliver these messages.
Thank you. Do you have ancestors or elders? It's a topic that I've been working with people on lately. Do you have ancestors or elders or someone higher up the chain, so to speak, that you speak with on a regular basis?
To be honest with you, no, because the souls on the other side, I don't speak like some mediums will connect with someone with their spirit guide who will channel someone else's loved one or however it may be. But I speak directly to the spirits that come through. So to me, there is no middleman. I'm right in touch with the soul that's coming through, whether it be the person's mother, father, sister, or brother. And that's what's so cool.
I mean, for you, is there a guide that you have on the other side that's helping you?
Yeah, I have my own spirit guides just like everybody else. What's really cool is that we all have a spirit guide. We all have spirit guides, angels, loved ones that are there on the other side. And I run my intuition through everything. Before I do a TV show, before I write a book, everything that I do, I'm asking my own people, the same people that I channel for you. But it's always different. Different souls have different ways of helping us and have different inputs.
Thank you. Any last words that you want to share with anyone or everyone?
The best thing I can share with you is to trust what you're feeling. Remember, spirit speaks to us through our feelings, and you don't have to know who's sending you the message. I think that's where people get so hung up, is they want to know, like, was that from my grandfather? Was that from my dad? Was that from my mom? The thing is that in my readings, right, or when I talk to people, a lot of times you'll hear me say, heaven is telling you this, or heaven is telling you that, because sometimes the messages that you're receiving comes from multiple sources. So when I say heaven, I'm referring to angels, loved ones, spirits, pets, anyone that's there. So when you're feeling certain information, like if you feel a nagging or being pulled towards one thing or another, or I should do this, or I should stay away from that, it's coming from your angels, your loved ones, and your spirit guides all at once. You don't need to know who's sending you the messages as long as you're getting the messages.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Matt. This has been beautiful. This has been a marathon of information. I love it, love it, love it. I'm going to encourage people to play it again and again and again and get all of your books.
Thank you, Michael. It was so great talking to you.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, start talking with your loved ones on the other side, and listen, they'll be talking right back to you. And above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! What a beautiful whirlwind of an interview with Matt Fraser. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Or, oh my loved ones in heaven, oh my loved ones in heaven, oh my loved ones in heaven. On that note, if you want to learn how to channel your loved ones, hear from your loved ones, and put pen to paper and be able to have a conversation with your loved ones, go to automaticwriting.com, where I teach you how to do just that. And if you want to live at a higher vibrational level, then simply come on over to the School of Mystics, where you're going to meet like-minded souls, get together 4 Wednesdays a month or via recording, and we're going to bring your energy up, 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 and way up, taking your super sensitivity and turning it into the heightened super skill that it was always meant to be. And if you simply want a daily attunement, vibrational goodness to bring your energy up each and every day, then let me go into automatic writing for you. Let me bring that forward through you, and let me gift it to you each and every day through dailywoohoo.com. That's that link down below, dailywoohoo.com. Here's the link to the next amazing show. Love you so, so much. Keep on shining bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? Lots of love, everyone.